Hello, I am Jillian Randall, and today I'm going to be discussing how a bill becomes a law. Now, I think this is very important to know this information. As a 18-year-old, about to turn 19-year-old myself, I'm now able to vote, and I think it's important to know what bills and things you're voting on and who you're voting into office to be an advocate for those bills and whatever else you need done. I think it's also cool to see. If you ever get the opportunity to see this up close and in person, I highly encourage it, and I highly encourage to go do it. If you get the opportunity to intern or page on the House of Representatives side or the Senate side, you should do it because it is so very fascinating to see it in person and see all the work and effort that goes into it. Without further ado, what is a bill? According to the National Humane Genome Research Institute, a bill is the primary form of a legislative measure. Okay, and this is used to propose a law. And bills are kind of what I call the seeds of a law. Okay, so you have a seed and you put it in the ground, and day by day by day, all the necessary steps that are taken to make it grow and become a flower. So that's the same thing. It's the same effects you have with a bill. There's a lot of different steps that has to go through. It has to go to committee. You have to write. You have to have a co-author, and you have to have an author. And there's all these steps that have to be taken in order for a bill to even survive. And sometimes, just like a seed, you're not going to get enough sun on some days. So that also means some days, your bill's going to not get passed. They're going to say, go back and reword this, rewrite this. We don't like the literature in this. So, in short, a bill will eventually become a law, or it'll get vetoed and it will die. So how will a bill become a law? So these are the necessary steps it takes, according to carpersenate.gov. Step 1, you have to have an idea. You have to have an idea or an issue or something along those lines to bring about writing a bill. So let's say all school buses are causing a major pollution issue, and we need to get a certain part on them fixed in order for better solution for our environment. So what we would do here is we would find a representative, preferably somebody who is on a committee of people on environmentalist board. If not, you find somebody like your representative, or somebody who can argue a bill really well and has a decent knowledge of what this bill is about. And you say, okay, we want this to be fixed, right? And then step 2, you write the bill. And every bill has to have an author and a co-author. And fun fact, every rep or senator pushes out at least 1,000 bills. They push out so many bills. Not all of them do they take to the floor, take to the committees to be heard either. So that's what's really fascinating, is your representatives or senators work really hard and push a lot of bills out. And sometimes you'll never see those bills. Sometimes the media doesn't ever cover on them. So if you have the opportunity, again, you should go and sign up for Oklahoma House. Carl Albert is bordering with Poto. So if you go to, Arkansas House of Representatives and sign up and see what your representative is pushing out every single day. So step 3, you debate in committee. Committee, what is committee? Committee are these boards of people who have experience in this field. So for instance, you're going to have an education board. So say my representative, he is all about kids. He's had a background in teaching. He's worked in and out with school public counselors, and he is a psychologist that helps with kids. So he's going to be on a school board. And so you have all these people who are representatives, and they have these backgrounds, or they really like and are passionate about kids. So they're going to be put on this committee. And so a person from this committee, a lot of times it's not always a person from that committee as much as it is there's other outsiders who will come in and push a bill through. So for instance, in my state, we have a lot of rural versus urban. So you're going to see a lot of bills come through that have to do with private and public funding schools. So you may have a guy from Edmond, and he has no idea really about so much about what a rural school area comes through, but he wants to come and push a private bill. So it has to go before this committee. And if it passes, it goes on to the floor, and then it'll be heard on the floor. But if not, it stays in committee, and you can either rewrite it and try again next year, or you may have somebody say, okay, when they're debating this bill, I don't really like the language in this. Can you rephrase that? Okay, so he may go and rewrite the bill, and he can say, this is a working draft bill, so it's not completely finished, but this is what I want to do. And so then the committee will hear that, and they will decide whether it goes onto the floor. And so then step 4 is you debate on the floor. And this is in front of everybody. This is with the majority whip. This is with the Speaker of the House. And the Speaker of the House is also a lot of the tie-breaking. What you're going to see with the gavel, who's like, this session is now in order, and they kind of keep everybody in line. This is your floor, this is your house, and you decide what bills get to get heard. So it comes and it's debated upon the floor. A lot of times you're going to see it's going to die on the floor sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But after it gets passed on from the floor, then eventually the House of Representatives and the senators will flip their bills. And so then the Senate side will hear it, and it has to go through both sides. So then the Senate side will hear it. And so a lot of times, right, what you have here with the Senate side is you work with your Senate or your House colleagues. Same process for the senators. Senators are going to be working with the House of Representatives colleagues. Sorry, if I refer to the House, that's the House of Representatives, and the Senate is the Senate side. And so, your representatives are going to work really hard, and they're going to kind of push, agenda, and go, okay, hey, I have this bill going through. I'd really like you to vote on it. I really think it's awesome. I really like this person, and they're going to work together and see, if they can get that bill passed through. And then step 6 would have negotiate compromises in conference. So a lot of times if there's a really good bill, they like it, but there's some work that needs to be done on it, you're going to have a committee made up of compromises of people, and they're going to compromise, work hand in hand together, see what can be done to fix this bill and help it, and negotiate it. And then step 7 is, so I'm discussing this on a state level, is you would send it to the governor to get a signature. And so when it's signed by the governor, it is now a law. Your bill has made it, and it is now a law. But here's the thing. He can also veto or refuse to sign it, and your bill's just died. So you can go through all this process. And this process is like a 3 to 4 month process of one bill sometimes. Sometimes it takes a hot second for a bill to get through. Okay? And you're like, yeah, my bill. And then you can get it to the governor, and the governor's like, no, I don't like that. And he can write it off and say, nope, I veto it. So that's what's sad, but now you understand the process of it. So as you can see, a bill will and can go through so many challenges. It can die right there in committee. It can die on the floor. It can be rejected, or some may say, I need this bill to be rewrote. You can take another person's bill and rewrite it after it's died. So there's a lot of steps that you have to that go into just this one law. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of laws being made every single day. So discuss how we adopted this system, okay? How we adopted the bill system. I know it's kind of confusing. And again, if you can go and see it in person, that's what is so cool, because then you get an idea for it. You actually see it. But the reason we adopted this system, according to govinfo.gov, the history of the legislative actions on a bill has been recorded since 1873. So we've been doing this since the beginning of when we started building our foundation of our government. Now, the reason why we have this system, because you may be like, well, why can't we just have another system? And it just makes sense. The reason why we have this system is because this supports the main fact that we are a democracy and that the people have a say. So everyday people, you, me, if there's an issue that needs to be solved, here's the thing, you don't have to be a politician to get a bill passed. You can say, you can give this to your representative and say, hey, I would really like something to be done about this, and he can start working on that. Or if your representative won't, go find another one, go find a senator, go find somebody who's passionate about it just as much as you are and give that to them, and that can be passed. And there is the main fact of the people being the democracy. We are the democracy, and we are the people, and we get to decide, and we get a say in things. So where do bills come from? Bills are ideas from people, okay? And they can come from anywhere. And I touched on this a little bit before, but they can come from any person. A lot of times you're going to see philanthropist groups, school teachers, like I know in Oklahoma, a big deal we had, and it was getting teachers' salary up, okay? Because our teachers are so underpaid. So we had teachers from all over our state come and strike at the Capitol. And a lot of schools were out for a week or a couple days at a time because all the teachers were gone striking at the Capitol. So you're going to have support groups like I think it's like the Teacher Federal, the teachers union, the workers union, whatever it may be. You're going to have these groups that are wanting things to get done. And then you also have lobbyists. So I think lobbyists are really cool, actually. Lobbyists are typically advocate for a group of people. So they're going to go and talk directly to the representative or senator about whatever bill that is that's trying to get passed. And they're typically paid to do that. So a lot of times, I'm not saying always, it's really, if you are in good connections, but you sometimes stand a better shot personally with getting a bill passed through if it's pushed by a lobbyist. So finally, this is a very time-consuming time, okay? It takes so much time and effort to go into passing a bill, okay? There's so many things. Energy, money, whether we like it or not, money, effort to make the change, because there's a lot of times people are like, I really don't even mess with that. That doesn't even directly affect me. So why am I going to take time to write it and do it? So, there's a lot of effort and time and energy that goes into writing these bills. Now, there are 8 different types of bills according to the congressionalbills.gov. So there's 8 different types of bills, and that's even more in depth. I challenge you to go get on there and read there. And, what's fascinating is there's bills that are passed that affect you and you don't even realize it. There's so many that are passed and so many that are for good and some, for bad. But like, for instance, there was one that when I was recently at the Capitol, I was listening to I think it was a children in like drug abuse committee or something along those lines. And they passed this bill through. I think it was like 5-3. So it was like a really tight one, but they passed it through that if an officer has, an idea that a young person may have a vape on them, that they could search them without permission if they suspect that, and they're underage. So that got passed through, and I think that like, whether you're for or against that, like that's interesting that got passed through and you didn't really see a whole lot about it, So really my challenge to you is to like dig deep into like bills, sign up where you get those alerts so you can hear and see. And I hope by hearing the speech, you have gained a better knowledge at the process that it takes to go through to get these passed. And, if you have an issue or something that's going on that, government affiliation can help, I challenge you to go to a lobbyist or go to your representative yourself and talk to him or talk to her about what can be done and if they would write up a bill for you. So, that being said, thank you for listening to me today, and I hope you learned so much.